morning. Everything looks happy. Game sounds are going out. And right now, here we go. Boston Sprinter finally out. The 4.26 core upgrade as well, which has been exciting for some people. I have empathy for the PS4 people, but everybody else seems to be up and running. Don't have any usual contributors sitting in our voice chat today, but hopefully they may be able to join later on. So let's get started. First up, let's have a look at the new mastery. So they've changed the screen. It's a little loud in my ears. Actually, I'll leave it for you. Let me know if it's too loud. And welcome to pop things into the chat. I'll try and answer questions if you ask any. Loading up the new mastery. So this looks much better than it used to be. And we've got Boston Sprinter. I didn't even realize it, but I had actually already completed the mastery for Boston Sprinter. That's okay. And we've got a whole lot of other routes too. There seems to be more now. I'm not going to say 100% there's more, but there seems to be more. So there we go. And poor old main Spessart barn. I've had that for so long and I still haven't finished the mastery. There you go. And I'm surprised I haven't on GWE because I run the diesel engine stuff on there all the time, but maybe that doesn't count. But anyway, here we go. Let's have a look at the Boston Sprinter. So in Tier 1, you get a bunch of weathering decals that you can use in the livery editor. I don't use that thing very much, if at all. So, yeah. And you also get a ship. So this turns up near South Boston Station, and we'll go and have a look at that in a moment. So the new mastery thing's quite cool. There's good things and bad things about the new menu. I wear glasses, as you can probably see, and I find the new menu is easier for me to look at. So hopefully it's the same for other low-sighted people. Now, the other new menu, it's a lot of clicks to get out of there, isn't it? You now select by route rather than by... What did we select before? We selected by route before. Yes. Okay. So it's still by route. It's the same. Sorry. One bit of feedback I have suggested on forum, and I certainly encourage people to jump on the Dovetail forums. If you don't do that, you probably should if you play the game. There's a lot of information there and a lot of community. I've asked for the acronyms to go on here, and the reason I've asked for the acronyms to go on here is it's fine for people like me who've been playing for donkeys and who go on the forums and know what the acronyms are, but if you pop into the advanced controls for Rail Driver, guess what? They all have the acronyms on them. So how do you know which route they are if you don't know what they are? But anyway, that's okay. Oh, we should look at that menu actually, just while we're here, because there are now... Look at all these. There are heaps of locos controllable by Rail Driver now in the update, which is awesome. Bloody awesome even. I'm very happy about this. Look at them all. So, is it all of them? Not quite. My personal guess is there's about 15 to 20% to go, which seems to gel with what Dovetail have been telling us will happen. They've also come up with some consistency finally. So warning devices is always this one, and signaling is always this one if it's supported, which is good. And nearly always this is now open and closing doors on passenger stock. Nearly always. There's still a few outliers. But anyway, that's okay. If you have updated the game, one thing I would definitely do for sure is calibrate your Rail Driver if you've got one, because it wasn't calibrated and it was doing all those weird things. Anyway, let's jump into the game. Of course, we want to look at Boston Sprinter. And what I'm going to do first up, I'm just going to jump into a random timetable scenario. I don't really care which one. I just want it to be... yeah, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that'll do fine. Because I just want to show you what the station looks like and what the yards look like. And of course the ship. I have to show you the ship. And then after we've done that, we will come back and run a scenario. And we'll talk about some of the good and some of the bad. Alright, so not going to do what I'm told on that at all. So hopefully my sound is okay versus the game sound. Where did I start this service? I started at the wrong end, didn't I? I think. Where are we? Yes, we're at the wrong end. What a wally. Okay, let's jump out of here. Let's go back to the main menu and let's pick one that's actually at Boston South this time. How clever was that? Oh well. All good. All good. Okay. Same deal again. Boston to Providence. Alright, 9:30 in the morning, you'll do. So we're starting at Boston this time because I want to start at Boston because I want to show you the ship. I also want to show you the really extensive rail yards and stuff that are around there because it's quite cool to just hover around and watch, to be honest. Even though we have to abandon a train to do it because I can't find a way to get into the air if you haven't started in a train. So let's jump out of our train. And first up, let's go find the ship. There it is. You can't get much closer than this. So that's our ship for the Mastery Challenge. You get this little frigate thing. I would have called it a barkentine personally, but I think they call it a frigate on the forums. But yeah, I reckon a barkentine. Looking back into Boston Station, there's a fair few platforms. Dovetail have talked about the catenary being wrong, the overhead line equipment, so that's okay. We'll just leave it at that. I'm just going to crank down the game while we chat. I'll turn it back up again in a moment. So, lots and lots of services. MTBA seem to always start on this side. So there's a platform hidden down there. A few others over here. There's a few scenarios. I would have expected a few more scenarios with this one, really. I was slightly disappointed on the counter scenarios. Amtrak nearly always starts on this side, and then we come back to MTBA again. I've never started in this platform, but I've ended in it a few times. Now let's get on to the new people. So, similar faces. Hairstyles. I don't know if they've done anything with the hairstyles or not, but they have done some things with the people. So we've certainly got some new outfits, and they look pretty good. Here's Mr. Shiny Shirt, ready to go out to the disco. Bit of Saturday Night Fever going on. He's got the velour pants on too. Very snappy. It's 9:30 in the morning, so I'm guessing he's going home from the club. But anyway, let's go and have a look at some of the others up here. There's another man with a shiny shirt. And no, look like jeans this time. This is a very creepy angle. Let me get up a bit higher. Okay. Another variation with the cardigan. Another different coloured t-shirt and jeans. This looks like a guy, maybe... Oh, he's wearing some kind of polo top thing. Stripy hoodie. Definitely good. And what they're wearing varies depending on the season as well, which is kind of cool, depending on the season that you pick. I'm not quite sure about using the months instead of the seasons, because to be honest, they've opened themselves up to a world of hurt. Let me go around the other side where it's sunny and we can see these people better and see all these outfits. There's some definite variation there. Kind of cool. So there certainly are more people. If you were playing on PC before and you cranked up the people counter in engine.ini, you probably saw this many anyway, but there's certainly more. Now there's one of these other little, let's call them tableaus. They have these people just standing around and they seem to be invariably in high vis at the moment, so they're a bit easy to pick. So I'm hoping that they have some other stuff. So these ones are just standing here doing nothing. Pretty standard for people wearing high vis. It just seems to be the way things are done. Coming around here. Oh, look. There's another person in high vis doing pretty much nothing. Here's a collectible, which I can't do because I'm in the 8 camera. So it's good to see that she's staring at a map that's not there. Yes. It's a lovely artwork, isn't it? Somebody will probably pay $1 million for that artwork. Okay. Wandering around a bit more. Oh, here we go. Here's some that have potential to do something. They've got a wheelbarrow. I thought it was stuck in her leg, but it's not. So they're all wearing high vis. Hopefully we'll get some new combinations of that. You can come out into Boston a little bit. You can only do this on the 8 key. You can't walk out here. It's actually the first time I've been able to get here with the 8 key, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised. But it becomes rather dead rather quickly as you get away from the station. So it's quite active here. You can actually see these cars disappear and appear. So there's just enough around that you can see them from there. I wonder if I can get to the ship this way. Wouldn't that be interesting? Let's try. No, invisible wall. Okay, can we go through the wall? Oh, yeah, it's the inside of the station. How about that? Wall programming. And you can see how flat this is on something that they never thought someone would actually come out and look at. But overall, it's kind of cool. I have to remember you can get out here. I like this. And if we stand here, we'll probably see the passengers start to spawn. Where are they spawning from? There on the corner. Or on that road, maybe. Yep, there they are. So here's our passenger spawn point. This is where they're all coming in. It's kind of ruining the magic, isn't it? They seem to have done some stuff with trees. They're as nice as the Clinchfield ones, but later on when we start the winter run, I think they've taken a leaf out of the book of one of the mods. So, let's go look at the yards. So we'll just fly along the top of these MTBA trains. So they've got a cab car on one end and a diesel on the other. They never turn them around. And I have to say, on one of the services, I did actually try and do that. I pulled my diesel off the front and I put it on the back. And I was able to couple it up, and that's where the story ended, because it wouldn't move after that. Now, the other thing they've done that they've fixed something, because in the game before, if I came and did that to an AI service, it would drive away with just that one carriage and leave the rest behind. It won't anymore. It sits there and waits until its whole thing's back together again. Which made me sad, because, to be honest, I liked messing with the AI drivers. So I kind of enjoyed that you could do that to them. Here's an MTBA one coming in. Now, very typical of American trains, the in and out of yards is so slow. And I'm not going to go in there because I'll get stuck in there and I'll have to ride it into the station. But plenty of people sitting in there. Lots and lots of variety in the outfits. This gives you a really good view of it. Anybody think I'd planned this? I should shut up and say I planned it, shouldn't I? Oh well. What I will do is pop back down to the station. Let's watch this guy come in. Now, which platform's he going into? Because I want to stand on the platform and watch these people get off. Now, what are these points set for? It's a double slip. It's kind of hard to tell. I think we're going this way. So let's go and stand up here out of the way. Ha! I guessed right. Now, one of the other things they've implemented is an unload all, which those of us who build scenarios for TS remember the unload all. When you get to the ending place, you tick a little box on that particular stopping point in the timetable and say, everybody has to get out here, and lo and behold, they all do. Now, I have to say, in this game, having the unload all is good, because now you, in theory, don't take people off into the yards where they sit there for the whole night. He's going a long way down. Now, in reality, I do understand that they arrive multiple trains into these platforms, back to back. Here's our people jumping out. They're not all exactly getting up and being joyful, but there's a few getting out. Interesting that internal door's shut. Oops. Can't get in there on the 8 key, it won't let me. That's okay. So plenty of people, but they're not all getting out, so they haven't got the unload all on this service. Now, one thing I am happy to say, you can kind of see it. There's this little circular platform down here. Finally, they actually move on these trains, and the two panels move around, which is awesome on corners. So I won't put you through that, because the only way I can do it from here is ride someone else's train. Now let's go have just a really quick flyover of the yards. On that, it's just continuing the unload all thing. I have noticed that they don't always all get out, which is a little bit weird. There's usually one or two left in there. So yard-wise, heading up this way now. Let's use the fast thing. River is the usual mess. And then we're coming into these monstrous yards here. So there is the balloon loop that goes around the outside. We might as well follow that. So it comes around here. There's some maintenance facilities. There's a car wash. Let's fly through the car wash just for the amusement value of it. I haven't found any scenarios or services that go through the car wash, so they've modelled this great big thing and not used it, which is a bit weird. And as far as I know, there's only one service that's not turned on. So this is the loop where Amtrak trains get reversed. In one of the scenarios, you bring an MTBA train through here, which is no doubt confusing to everybody. They keep the MTBA trains over here. I kidnapped one of these yesterday and took it for a spin and didn't get very far. Because there's so much going on, it's very hard to find any free trackage. And there's plenty of them around here. Now, some of these move during the day, and some of them just seem to sit here. And it does run an enormous amount of services, so it's kind of cool to have all this stuff. Now, I noticed there are some tracks spare. Wouldn't surprise me if the few spare tracks turn up in the future with the sellers on them. That would be my bet. They haven't quite said that on the streams, but they've talked about Nacella as though it's already there in a couple of occasions. And they've even said that all the Nacella services are already there. Now, the guy that made this route pours a bit of cold water on that. You can find him in the forums and on YouTube. He's called Cactus Juice. And his real name's Brandon, as I understand it. But there's all this yard space free, so this could be a possibility. He says that it's... Oh, look, I can get to the ship. Ha! Oh, so close. So close. Ah, well. It was worth a try. But anyway, Cactus Juice made this route. He made it back in 2019 using the public beta editor that came with the original TSW, which sadly we don't have one anymore. We don't have an editor now. And at some point recently, Dovetail got onto him and said, we want your route. So he's been doing some work with them, which is really, really, really cool. Great to have some community involvement, because people are lamenting that happening. Hopefully they'll give him the real editor. So what I want to do now is play a scenario. Now, this is an MTBA scenario this week, and I'll do a Amtrak scenario this week. So we're going to go into, and I played this one yesterday, it does work, sort of. We'll talk about that as it goes. It's called Cold as Ice. Let me just move over, because if I click on it, it'll just select it. This menu is just a slightly bit unintuitive, but I dare say people will get used to it pretty quickly. So this service travels from Boston South Station to Stoughton and back. Stoughton, I believe, and back, although worsening weather means delays will be expected on the return journey. Well, there's another reason to get delays on the return journey, and we'll talk about that when we get there. I'm just going to crank the game sound back up before I go into it, and I'll pull my own headphones down a little bit. All right, so let's start this scenario, and we'll get into it. Now, when the train spawns, I'll take you through the cab. And I think that they've done a excellent job on the cabs for these locomotives. People are saying they've used older carriage stock. I don't care. I'm here to drive trains. So this one's pretty much already ready to go. Only a few things to turn on. And it's already cut in. Still waiting for the scenario to tell me what to do. It's already set at lead or dead, so we just got to unlock the doors. Use the rail driver button. This train, the right door button does what you'd expect, and it unlocks the right doors. On the other one, not so much. So I want to turn on the alerter, and I want to turn on the radio. I'm not going to turn on the ATC and the ACSES. There seems to be quite an interesting problem with those. They run kind of okay. So that's this beastie here. So you still use it to drive with, and it still tells you the signal speeds and everything, so you still drive to that. But every now and again, let's just get some brakes starting to happen while we're loading passengers, so we're not waiting to pump up the train. I don't want to release them all the way though, so I'll put them back on in a moment because I don't want to roll off. That'll do. Let's get some lights on. We've got dim lights on there. We don't need wipers today. Let's get into forwards. Okay, we're going to lock our doors. So that's happening now. No idea if Boston's a quiet zone, but I really don't care because that horn's awesome. All right then, brakes off, let's go. Now these are a sound insulated cab because this is a fairly modern locomotive. We have a 10-mile-an-hour limit as mentioned up here on our speed limit display. Just to improve the sound a little, let's get the window open even though it's snowy. That makes it a bit louder. You can also open your door, of course. Can't get into the engine bay. Alright, we're out of the platform. Let's kill the hideous bell. And we do cruise out of here at a horribly low speed. Now, one of the interesting things, there's the new crosshair or reticle. You can change what it looks like. So I think beep goes a little speed thing. It just changed to a 30 up there, but we can't do that yet. Still have to stay at 10. Got to throttle back now. Now, with ATC, if you go against a signal aspect or you're getting too close to another train, it'll stop you. Or if you're overspeeding, it'll stop you. Now, the signal aspects are fine. That's recoverable. The reason it lets you get close to another train is because with this system, they can run multiple trains in the same signal block. And that one's recoverable as well. But if you get an overspeed in this particular loco, you can't recover it. You're just stuck. So I'm not going to turn that on. And the ACSES, it requires you to start braking to match a certain performance curve so that you will brake by the time it needs the aspect that it's displaying obeyed. But this curve is incredibly aggressive and it's almost impossible to do it. Now that's the alerter coming on, so we'll just reset that. And we've gone up to 15 mile an hour as well, so we can pick up a little bit of speed now. So we're still travelling through the Boston Yard. We're in that area we looked at before. The carriages have a nice, clean but used look. I like the texturing on the carriages. I'm not sure if that comes across on the stream resolution or not, but at 2K it looks very nice. I'm streaming out at HD because my family gets upset with me if I stream out at 2K because I use all the bandwidth. cruising along, heading towards Boston Back Bay as our next stop. We're not far out of that now. Alerter again. Oh, the alerter button on the rail driver is working. I've just gotten so used to using the Q key that, because it didn't used to work, that I keep going back to the Q key, which I need to relearn to use the rail driver. The rail driver implementation for Boston is really good. Very, very happy with it. I think Dovetail's finally there. The other thing I'm happy about with this route is the number of trains you see. So it's like 3:43 in the afternoon. You still see a lot of trains. It's another one of our little tableaus with the two ladies with the wheelbarrow. Braking a little early there. Oh yeah, in tunnels, you can get out. Woo. You can get out and watch your own train arrive now, which I appreciate. If you've not played the game before, the coloured bars on the ground are letting you know where to stop. You can stop anywhere in the coloured bars, but at the furthest end of the green one is the most desirable and the most points. The left door's opening. Let's kill that bell. Let's go have a look. Oops, go into that outside camera. Where's it put me? It's put me out into the world. Look at that. Well, there's a different view for you. Well, okay. We can watch our people spawning. That's alright. Let's go back in the cab then. Or we can just follow them, because we can't. We're stuck here. Oh, yes, we can. None of them use the escalator. Back to our train. And watch the doors close when the time comes. The snow texturing's pretty good. There's a few things that aren't picking up snow, like the cables and the couplers and things, but the carriages look okay. And time to close doors. Passenger whacked me. That was her. Graphics are really nice and smooth with the update. And frame count, I'm not sure if you're able to read it, currently sitting on 56 FPS, heading up to 60 now without the train. Let's jump back into the train. We are in Notch 8, heading for 60 miles an hour, but our next station, Ruggles, isn't very far away. So we don't want to build up too much speed. Should kill that horrible bell. I shouldn't say it's a horrible bell, they just irritate me. They even irritate me when I ride American trains. I used to live in California and caught Caltrain quite a lot of times. Lots of BART, lots of Muni. Never rode one of these, although I have been on Amtrak on the East Coast. So we're getting up to 83, 84 frames per second now. I'm not sure if you can actually read the frame counter on the stream at that resolution. It's probably a bit hard. Alright. We need to start braking. That sounds like someone trying to come into the chat, which is a really inopportune time to do this. But let me just Open it. Michael has joined us in the chat. G'day, Michael. Open it. Hopefully you're coming through. You sound a bit quiet. So in the chat. G'day, Michael. Open it. Ooh, I'm getting double voices. You sound a bit quiet. So in the chat. G'day, Michael. Open it. Ooh, I'm getting double voices. Okay. You sound a bit quiet. So in the chat. G'day, Michael. Open it. Ooh, I'm getting double voices. Okay. In the chat. G'day, Michael. Open it. Ooh, I'm getting double voices. Okay. G'day, Michael. What is going on? G'day, Michael. What is going on? What is going on? G'day, Michael. What is going on? I've got. What is going on? G'day, Michael. What is going on? I think I might have to kill the chat and start it again. It'll be the same code, Michael. What is going on? Right, hopefully, I've just started the chat again. Michael's still in there. Hopefully he can talk now, and it won't just be repeating me endlessly. After really messing up that station stop. Oh, actually not too bad. Repeating me endlessly. After really messing up that station stop. Oh, actually not too bad. Repeating me endlessly. I think what's happening is we're hearing really your speakers, Michael. Oh, actually not too bad. Me endlessly. I think what's happening is you're not using headphones, are you? Oh, actually, not too bad. Me endlessly. I think what's happening is you're not using headphones, are you? Oh, actually, not too bad. I'm just going to have to mute the chat from the stream. I've just taken the chat out of the stream because I think Michael's using speakers rather than headphones, and I'm hearing myself talk, and then it's just doing an endless circle. All right, so we're in Ruggles. I've just told it to lock the doors. Brakes off. And just while our train's starting to go, interestingly at Ruggles, there's a whole other station here, but it doesn't seem to be used for the game, which is kind of interesting. So I can see that Michael's talking in the chat. Let me try and turn you back on and see if he switched to headphones. So, Michael, have we switched over to headphones? Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you.
I was on headphones. For some reason, they just didn't connect properly.
Oh, I've had that sort of problem. I've discovered that we for the rest of the stream, we use Google Meet for our chat. Very welcome to Michael, who's joined us. There's our train disappearing off into the distance there. Let's jump back into the train. Get rid of that bell. We use Google Meet for the chat with Michael and I, and occasionally some others join us as well. And it does horrible things to the sound settings on my computer, I have to say. So our next station is nearly 6 miles away, so let's notch it up. I've just put the wipers on. Now, do you hear that?
I can't hear the wipers.
Yes, it's windscreen wipers that sound like windscreen wipers. They don't make any bloody noise. Yes! Finally! And the other thing that's interesting to note is my frame rate is starting to go over 100. Now that I'm out of Boston. We're cruising along. And how are you, Michael?
Well, aside from a horrible day, I guess I'm okay.
Yeah, horrible days do suck. It's I started yesterday with my other half, our lockdown number 6 project, and started making a new veggie garden to join their other 8. We're turning into a farm. So the state that I live in, which is Victoria, is in its 6th COVID lockdown. We've gone into the heaviest kind of lockdown again now. And we have a curfew. We're not allowed out of the house between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. And the other times when we're allowed out of the house, only one of us can leave on any given day. And you can leave for purposes of exercise or buying necessary things. And you have to stay within 5 kilometres of your house unless it's for a medical appointment, and then you're allowed to go further. Life. We're watching the rest of the world come out of this stuff, but we started vaccinations only a couple of months ago, so we're way, way, way behind the rest of the world. So just while we're driving, Michael, to catch you up, I don't have ATC or ACSES turned on because they have some issues in getting restarted if you get an overspeed, and you also have the issue of the braking requirements being way too aggressive, so it's playable, but it's just not fun to play, so I've turned them off. Hopefully that will get fixed. I made a big effort yesterday just to see if it was me.
I enjoyed it. I did a run last night.
Yeah, while it's working it's good, but I've had a number of occasions where it stopped me and I can't get going again. And I've tried that button, I've tried those buttons, that one, there's another one down there somewhere, wherever it is. There's that one. Try reset all these things. Try putting it into neutral. Try all those things. And it seems to be variable. Sometimes you get going again, sometimes you can't. About to go over speed. And we're coming up on Hyde Park Station, 2.5 miles away. When it's working, I love it. I think it's really good. Now, when we were back in Boston, I mentioned that they'd done some work on the trees. And you'll notice here that most of them don't have leaves, which is kind of cool. So I'm guessing that they had a look at the mod that's been used on Clinchfield and a couple of other routes that denudes the trees of most of their leaves, apart from the evergreen ones. And I think they've applied that themselves, because this looks much nicer than it used to. I know I'm still a mile out, but this thing stops like a pig. I kind of like the automatic dynamic brakes that it has. It's useful. So it's running dynamic brakes and air brakes right now. Not much of a reduction on the air brake, but 20 pounds. And it's slowing us down nicely. I think I might have been sliding then. I think I still am a little bit. But we're going to get there. Doors open. Ah, it's not too bad. Oh, actually,
that's good enough.
That shows off the feature. These trapdoors open when you're in a low-level platform, and when you're in a high-level platform, they don't. Which is kind of cool. So they should be open. Yep. The 3 camera ends up with the most creepy angles for people. You end up on the ground following them. I came across one of these yesterday where the AI train arrived late, which I think is kind of unusual, and then it sat there for 4 minutes. And me being very pig-headed, sat there and watched it to see how long it would sit there for. So I don't know what was happening there. I mentioned before, Michael, that I actually liked the texturing. I think they've done a really good job of this. It's got that clean but well-used look.
They've done a superb job.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying the graphics in this one. Let's get these doors closed. Let's get next to some doors so we can see them while we close them. This is the right-hand side. Alright. Brakes off. Bell on. I've no idea if they honk in Boston, but I just like honking. Apparently we're on time. So 1 minute late's on time. Good. Go up here. To me, the lights look okay. They reckon they haven't, but I think they've done some improvement on lighting on the ground. To me, it looks different. I don't think they've done any new lighting in the tunnels, though. Yeah, I think it looks better, from in the cab and outside the cab. Just putting on some sand, because I'm going to notch 8 in the snow. And like all passenger trains, straight to notch 8. None of this namby-pamby waiting for the back of your train to catch up. This is not a powerful locomotive. I think that tree would have scratched the paint. There's another one along here somewhere that hits you in the face. Just changed to 60 mile an hour up there. We're 90.
Yeah, that comes down to Matt's great tree planting.
Yeah, it's when you shove your trees in with a random algorithm and sometimes they end up a bit close to the track. I'm not happy with the signal sighting on this route. Because... oh, this is funny that you're allowed to go through this at 60 mile an hour. Whack! That feels like a pretty sharp set of points to me for 60 mile an hour. But that's okay. And then back up to 90 again. Even though I'm not sure the back of the train's through there. Oh, it is. Oh, we need to start slowing down soon anyway. I think this is the best one yet with snow. Uh-oh, my headphones just reset. Hopefully... looks like stream audio is still going. And I'm back.
Oh,
I've got audio again. I don't know why my headphones did that. That's a bit weird. They're now very quiet though. That's okay. I'll put up with that. Is the stream audio still good enough levels?
Yep.
Good. I'll put up with quiet. There's the one that hits you in the face. Ow.
Quiet sometimes is better.
Alright. do some heavier braking than before because I got distracted by my sound. I think I've still got the sand on anyway. I do. So let's do some pretty heavy braking. This is some kernel failure braking. It's working though. Pleased to see we don't see anybody in shorts and t-shirts anymore in the snow. That's a good improvement. Got our little marker lights up there, which I assume the driver's supposed to stick his head out the window to have a look at. Make sure they're all closed. So I'm not sure if the cab's got a door closed indicator or not. Yeah, it does. So you don't actually have to have a look. Start recovering our brakes a bit. This is the excitingly named Route 128. I assume there's a big road near here named Route 128. Which would make me think this is a park and ride station, maybe. Alright, let's get the doors closed. 3.3 to Canton Junction, which is where we come off this main line and go onto the branch.
There's a tiny problem with the crossing at Canton Center.
In the wrong place, maybe? Ah.
Nope, doesn't work.
Okay. Don Rusty Rails said that I went under Route 128 to get to this station. Excellent, thank you. Now, one of the other things I notice about this route, and I have to say I'm not completely sure because they keep claiming they have not introducing dynamic weather, but to me the snow seems to be getting worse. Or better, depending on your point of view, whether you like snow or not. I reckon it's getting more foggy. Oops, overspeed. Naughty. It's a good thing I don't have that turned on or it would kill me. Just left that drift back down to 45 by itself. I'll end up talking to the boss later. We noticed from your driver's logs that you were over speed limit for about 2 miles. So how have you found the, Oh, I know which crossing you mean, the road crossing. Yeah, it's working when you come into the station, and then they open up, and then they don't close again. Yes, I have noticed that. I'm guessing we're going uphill since we slowed down so much. I have to slow down to 30. This will be for the crossover. I always forget about that and start accelerating again. Not used to the route yet. You can definitely see what I was talking about before, that they've taken a leaf out of the book, as it were, of the mod that pulls the leaves off the trees. So the evergreens still have them, the others don't. I can appreciate that. Is anybody in the chat, or Michael, have you played this particular scenario, Cold as Ice? Because in this direction, in this direction, I think it works fine. In the other direction, you see what you think when we get there. Heading uphill again at this point. At least I think we are. Yep. Good thing you can push the alerter when you're not in the train. The draw distance on the headlights worries me. I understand why it's like that, but I'd rather it wasn't, because they're about to come on. There they are. I didn't slow down for the 20 then, that was noisy. Yeah, it's an interesting question, Don Rusty Rails. Don points out that all the scenarios are in winter. And he's pointing out that they do have summer and spring in the area. I've never actually been to Boston. I've been relatively close. I've flown over it. I've been to Philly, been to New York. I have been into the state of Massachusetts, but not to Boston. If we're ever allowed to travel again around the world, I think I should fix that, because I'm going to have to come and ride one of these. Just seems necessary. And you can go up to the driver and go, "Oi, mate, I've driven that in a game." And the driver will go, "Dickhead." Train drivers used to be really friendly people, and then bad things happened in the world, and generally these days they're still friendly, but they're just not allowed to be. So that red signal's just cleared because the other trains come in. Actually, Don Rusty Rails, you'll know, do the trains honk on approach to platforms and departure from platforms on this line? And Don Rusty Rail says, no, they don't honk, but they do use the bell. Fair enough. Do they honk at road crossings, or is it a quiet zone? Coming up to that road crossing you were talking about before, Michael, the one that is down as we approach the crossing. So you can see the gates are down now and the lights are flashing. And in a moment, they'll open. Which kind of makes me think that the crossings in the game have a timeout on them. And real ones do too, but it wouldn't happen when there was a train sitting there. There they go. Because on LIRR, there's a couple of places where you pull up to a crossing at the end of a platform, and on Caltrade there are, but I can't think of any other ones. Not in American routes anyway. I'm going to honk just because to me it seems wrong. If I don't. Because that's what I'm used to doing. Now I follow the Australian procedure for a non-working crossing. Only because I don't know what the American procedure for a non-working crossing is.
2 long, 1 short, 1 long.
Oh, that's for a working crossing. I'm not sure about a non-working crossing though.
Same. At least that's what it is in Canada.
Cool. Well, for a non-working crossing in Australia, you have to do this. And then you chuck your second person out, but there isn't one in these trades because they're driver only. And they hold up a red flag. And then of course you'd stop and pick them up again, but if I had a second person, I'd just leave them standing there in the snow. Listen to that serenity. The next station amuses me, and I had to go and look on maps to see if it's really like this. A station with 2 level crossings in it. And one of them's actually in it. In the platforms. These little markers are interesting, whatever they are. Little thawed out patches.
I believe those are for ATC.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. They need something in the track. I must have said something really offensive. I just lost half my viewers. I love the turns the school buses do. Maybe they just don't like branch lines. They went away when we went onto the branch. Let's try the sequence horn. The timing right for a change.
Which direction do you hold that in?
On the rail driver down, but on the on here, if you're using this one, it's up and down for the normal, which is interesting because it doesn't matter which way you pull it, it goes the other way. That's okay. We're used to that, Dovetail. This game hasn't had an update since it started, has it? Maybe it's the new driver.
Not that I know of.
The writing was fuzzy when I first got it, and it's not anymore. But I got a new new NVIDIA driver on Friday. I only just noticed that. When you get some heavy sway up, particularly if you're watching the corners, the snow on the windscreen moves at a different rate to the surrounds of the windscreen. It's quite funny. You notice it even more when you're running head tracking, which I can't really do during streams, because if I looked at the rail driver, it would go violently that way. It wasn't running the sequence then. The station reminds me a little bit of the one on the Preserve Railway that I play on. On that one you have to go to full power until about halfway down the platform because you've just come off a 1 in 30 grade and you've got to get the rest of your train up it. Nearly there. I'm losing lots of speed. Must be quite steep. 1%. Oops. Hopefully those points are set right this time. Now I'm going to religiously follow its directions this time. Frame rate's back over 100 again. 120 at times there. Alright. So I'm not going to do the other things that I think I should do. So I will kill the sand. I'm just going to leave the rest of it alone. Now this is funny. That's just funny. I don't know if it's really like that. I kind of hope it is. The new passengers are much better at getting in your way than the old ones. And apparently we're not departing. There's a couple more of those people standing around with their wheelbarrow filling up with snow. This is vaguely amusing that the chair is actually built on the trapdoor. I did some searching about that. Apparently these didn't have chairs when they first came out. Yeah. Sound dies when you get in. That's okay. We can open the window and get some back. Alright. So we need to key the reverser in first. It's a bit hard to do that with the rail driver. Let's do just the things it wants. Yeah, it's down there, isn't it? There it is. There is one more thing I need to do. I need to turn on the alerter. But not the other things. Looks like not many people are coming back with me. So it's warning us that we can have more than 2 trains in the same block. Reverse it to forward. It's way too quiet in here.
I agree, it is.
Looks like the brakes have actually fully come off this time. When I ran this yesterday as a trial, they didn't. I had to go down to the loco and release them. So maybe this will work better than yesterday. So quiet. I'm glad that beeps or toots so you know to look up at it, because it's out of your field of view normally. Get ready for the world's loudest wipers. They're so loud, I don't run them all the time. This is working much better than yesterday, because this is downhill. So I should be accelerating quite freely, which I am, even within the just notch 3. Yesterday at this point I was doing notch 8 to try and do 20 mile an hour. This is heaps better. It is interesting to hear the people on the forum gets angsty is probably the best way to put it when people start talking about American horns. And then you watch the real trains on YouTube, and on the main lines, they certainly obey it. They do the the too long, short and the long, but on little branch lines and sidings and stuff, often the best you get out of them is this.
Yeah, from what I'm looking at Google, that station looks right.
Cool. I'll have a look at the end of the stream because I'm curious. When you take over one of these services driving the cab car, on some of them I've found that when you cut the brakes in, it starts rolling away, whether the brakes are applied or not. Look how much lower the frame rate is when we're in this cab car. I wonder if the trains that ran on the line were shorter at some point when they put in that high platform for accessibility. They ended up on the other side of the road. I'll have to Google the history of it and see what I can find. I like the brake sounds in this. They've done that well. And I wouldn't mind the windscreen wiper sound so much if it was actually in sync, but it's not. Oh, there's another sound they've got wrong in here too. You listen to when the window, when this part of the window hits this part, and when the sound plays. Oh, it's the window. It's about 1 second late. Started that a bit early. finally hearing some chatter from railroadradio.net. It's been on for the whole stream, but it's the first time I've heard it. If you've never heard of it, visit railroadradio.net on the web, and you can grab these play files that you feed to something like VLC or whatever your favourite media player is. It says it works with Windows Media Player, but it doesn't because the Windows firewall blocks it. You could open the firewall, of course. Oops. No marker lights. And flickering number lights. It's so quiet in here, it feels like you can't talk, like it's a library.
Yeah, I found it quite quiet in the cab car. I forgot the bell, didn't I? Mm-hmm.
PIS is dead. We've got time. Let's walk through the train. Notice how the train windows don't get any snow on them on the inside. Kinda would have thought they would. Would kind of think, unless the air conditioning's excellent, that they'd also get a bit steamy. Me thinking we had time. Laughable.
Hey, got no passengers at all.
Almost. Oh, the snow's gone. Is it going to move? It's going backwards at the moment. Why? Rail driver throttle has stopped working. My throttle is locked. What have I done? Ha! Okay. How did I do that? Oh, let's go the other way. Must be massive springs on those couplers.
Cab, maybe?
I could, but I've not had it happen before. Ralphane Bridge. Hit by a school bus. So next cab works, previous cab doesn't. And now I'm stuck here. That's funny. I used the previous cab button on the rail driver just to see what would happen, and I got stuck there. Sorry, mate. It's all under control. It's all good. Noisy thing. Made it.
Barely.
I was so busy telling that guy that it was all under control that it nearly wasn't. So I don't think I'll use that button again. I used the next cab, previous cab trip in Clinchfield. Because the wipers are so noisy on Clinchfield, I don't use them. And you go to the previous cab and come back to this cab, the snow's gone. Now it's going to be a slow old trip back, because we're following other trains. Just don't look for them on the map, because they're not there. It's part of the scenario. I didn't know you had a button for that. There you go. I've been pushed down to 20 miles an hour now. Back to 30. Using this thing's where the face tracking comes in really handy because you just look up to see it, but...
Gotta admit, that's not in a great spot.
Yeah, I wonder if it's really up there in reality. I suppose it could be because it's massive. And if they put it down here, it might obscure signals. Could have put it here, though. Funnily enough, my cup of tea's gone cold. Hi, Zafreak.
Chuck a few cubes of ice and you've got iced tea.
Yeah. But it looks like a warm enough day for iced tea, but I think it's still about 16 Celsius outside. And yes, Zafreak, I agree. The route is a bit slow at times. So we're allowed back up to 45 now, so let's use all the throttle. Yesterday when I drove this as a trial run, I was struggling to get it over 20 mile an hour. And I didn't quite follow the scenario's directions in the other cab. I just shut it down in the way that I thought you should shut it down. And whatever that was, I forgot about this station. Whatever that was annoyed the crap out of it. I reckon you could sample that bell into a song. I hear lots of people, but I don't see any. None there. None there. The reflection on the tiles is nice. It must be new to the update. I've not seen that sort of lighting before.
Neither have I.
Gotta like an accidental rail fan moment. So, shouldn't these be on the platform? Surely they should be on the platform. What station is this? Ah, it's stuck. Got stuck on a freeway. It is Route 128. Okay. Where's me post-it notes? Have to report that one. I can't find my post-it notes. I think they've been pinched again. Family are very good at pinching post-it notes. Okay. Well, there's a question for North American type people from the continental persuasion. Oops, wrong button. From the continental persuasion. In Australia, we would describe a train that was travelling towards its primary station as going up. And when it's going away from its primary station, in this case Boston, it would be going down. So this would be an up train. Do North Americans use that nomenclature?
I believe they do in the US.
Cool. I assume they do in England because that's probably where we stole it from. Australia still loves England. We never quite managed that War of Independence thing like the Americans did. Go a little bit faster. I'm just going to leave the wiper off until I can't see because it's so annoyingly loud. Oh, it is uphill. Sounds like a KFC. Chicken's ready. Just get up to the speed, and I'll have to slow down again. I haven't come across anything that stops at that station yet. Means you have to spawn on foot to get the collectibles. Or just stop the train because you feel like it. train radio is getting very active all of a sudden. So you can either look up there at that, or you can look down there so you can see the alerter flashing. Yeah, that's put in the scenario to trick you to start speeding up so you overrun the station. Bit early on the donger. That one's a bit funny too, with the 8-car thing being up there. Turn off all the noisy things. So we've got an 8-car marker on the platform ramp. Where's the 6? The 6 is here. So where's the 10? I wonder if it's up here. No 10 marker.
Wouldn't surprise me.
10 marker missing. Ooh, we've got a green. I think I'll have to do an explore on foot and check every station for the stopping marks. I'll do that when I do my great collectible hunt, when I get excited about it. What are the odds of keeping that 90, do you think? Not good. Oh well. Sounds like someone stalled on the real railway, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Make up your mind, ACS. That was weird. It was like nighttime for a moment. I know we went under a building, but everything outside went dark too. So this scenario is labelled at 60 minutes, and we've been sitting at pretty close to the speed limit the whole way. Yet we're, what, about 15 minutes over? And we've still got a few stations to go. Weird how the sky's getting dark when you're inside a tunnel. What do the surroundings look like here? Housing. A red signal coming up. Will it clear or not? Silence.
That's better.
Yeah. To turn it back on soon though, so I can see if the signal's still red. Yes, I know, I've got the HUD. Sounds like they want to get rid of their power on the real railway. Maybe that's why they stalled. I would have thought the point of following that thing and following its speeds is you should never actually get a red signal. Now we wait. Stop being red. This is our passenger spawn point. And whenever you see them appear and disappear, you know that they've just been deleted. Because they took off into the space. Hello.
I thought about doing is grabbing 14 now and coupling back up to what we got left on the scale, which I think is after line 28.
Yeah, they had to divide their train by the sounds of it.
Sounds like they're building a train. Sounds like constructions.
Yeah, it could be.
those fellas over. Cross over all those guys.
All right. So you think that we'll be able to pull it up decent and bring?
You know what? Time-wise, probably. Let me see. That guy's... He's coming to Singerly. He's going to get run around at Singerly, meet a train.
You know it's an East Coast radio when you hear, you know what?
Go off here until about 10:30. I wonder if there's going to be enough room at 17 for everything. Probably not.
When I worked in transit in America, one of the bus company guys that I always worked with, he was from New York. And whenever you wanted something from him, you had to go and meet him on a bus. That was his office. And he'd sit up in the back seat, doing a full-on man spread. No passengers, just lots of noise. Where did I end up then? Up here. Okay. But he'd sit in the back of the bus doing his full-on man spread. And if he didn't want to do what you're asking for, he'd go, "Pal, you know what? No." It's always funny. One day we'll get sound sources in sync with what's happening on the platforms. One day. Why didn't you lock? To 45.
That works. That works. That ought to be a pretty good time. 4 up to 231. Speed for you turn back north out is only turn over. Shove 9 off. 9's got 4 rocking up in it. It's not quite a year.
All right, so let the auto rack.
Yeah, and actually,
Do you reckon there's triggers in the scenario? Every time you get near the speed, it drops it down one?
Probably.
forget John's gonna be by himself and trying to think ahead. It's gonna be ugly, but oh well, there ain't much you can do about it. Whatever they want to run.
At least it's not terrible tonight.
No, I'm just trying to think how to get all these little guys together. There's nowhere to put them until, clear off the east end of 3. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get time to get started further back. What's going on right now? You know what? I'll let leave up to the 18 or crossover 17 or cross 12.
So is that transparent panels or an open roof? Because it's snowing in here.
Probably open roof.
In that case, it's allowed to be snowing in here. Basement windows. Oops, that should have been the left doors, not the right doors.
I've done that a few times.
Hmm.
6.3. No defect. No defect. Total axle 476 end of transmission.
That's something this game needs. More detectors. Changing tracks by the look. This must be uphill. Cheers. We're allowed up to a very generous 20 miles an hour now. It's where the Boston Marathon people sitting in the train and go, I can run faster than this. It is the interesting thing about train journeys. I mean, this one's been slow throughout the whole thing, but how often do you ride a journey where they go flat neck and then spend 20% of their time near their starting point and their destination? Terrible signal sighting. Down to 15, up to 20. Make up your mind. Welcome to Boston. We're back. Let's see how we did. Better than yesterday, I'm tipping. The speed while it works it out. Is it better than yesterday? It is. Cool. All right then. So, being 10:41, I think that's probably the end for today. It's been fun driving this particular scenario called Cold as Ice. And next week I will run an Amtrak and I'll find one that's a whole lot faster, and then hopefully run a couple of services so that we can see that it's not always this slow. Because yes, definitely a slow day today. Anyway, thanks very much for joining the stream and watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. It just helps build up my numbers and helps get the stream more noticed by other people. So thanks for joining in on the chat, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll see everybody next week. So enjoy yourselves. Bye now. All right then, that brings us to a close for today. Thanks for watching the stream and I hope you enjoyed it. I welcome any and all feedback. Feel free to comment on the video. Constructive criticism is welcome, especially if I've got something wrong. I stream every Sunday morning starting at 8:30 AM, and I also do ad hoc streams from time to time during the week. Please subscribe and click notify to avoid missing out. Subscribing helps me by helping me see what content is good and how it helps the channel grow, or doesn't, as the case may be. So a little bit of info about me. I drive train simulators, but unlike some, that isn't my only railway experience. Today I operate on a preserved railway doing track inspections and operating as second person on the footplate in trains. I've driven steam, diesel, sparks and trams from time to time across several rail networks. I understand how trains work and how complex train forces enforce certain train handling procedures, especially around acceleration and braking. Generally when I'm driving a simulator, I try to be prototypical. I don't have a lot of in-cab video because we cannot do it while moving, but here's a short clip of me doing the cab half of a standing brake test to ensure continuity across the train. I build model trains in traditional means and have an ON30 logging railway and a Lego trains layout because I can. So yes, I'm not just a gunsel, I'm a proper train nut. Thanks for watching and see you next time.